Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here today on this webinar. I'm so grateful that you're here and you're giving me your time and your attention. And I just invite you to eliminate all distractions so you can give this information your full attention. We're going to do a couple of exercises today together that if you're trying to do other stuff and doing it, you're not going to get the full benefit of doing those exercises. So give it your all so that you can really see the power of this work. So I want to give you my all and give you all the information that I know that can really help you make some great shifts in your relationships. So I'm excited that you're here. Thank you so much for this time. And let's go ahead and jump in and get started here. So just a second, I'm going to share my screen so that you can see what it is that I am talking about. All right. Great. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. You are here at Sizzling Hot Marriage, 3 massive mistakes women make that keep them bored in bed and feeling unloved. And this is for you if you feel like your marriage is on autopilot and it's needing a reboot. Your life has lost its pleasure, joy, and fun. It just seems a little dreary. Or your sex life is dull and dreary, or maybe even non-existent. You might be feeling depressed about your future with your partner. Well, or you want more out of your life and your relationships. Well, my name is Lynn Marie Schulte, and I am a women's health physical therapist. And for 25 years, I've helped thousands of women all over the world to heal their relationships, to reconnect back to their bodies, and to find love again. And here's what I know to be true. That women are amazing, amazing creatures. We have such a power and potential that lies within us, and we haven't fully tapped into it yet. But when we do, our lives can change. And I've seen it over and over again with the women that I've worked with. And it's not about sex tips or bedroom tricks or, doing anything in that sense. It's much deeper and life-changing than that. And so here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about what you need to do to spice up your love life instantly. The number one passion killer that if you may not know about this, but if you fix it, you can really recharge your marriage. And what you need to do to turn on right away to jumpstart your love life. And let's not forget how to excite your husband and have him ravishing you in bed. But in order to have all this, the passion, the ravishing, you have to overcome these 3 common mistakes that women make that keep them bored in bed and feeling unloved. And I'm going to count them down from 3 to 1. So stick around, because understanding and fixing the last mistake will make a huge, huge impact on your marriage and love life going forward. So let's go ahead and start with the third mistake, and that is desire disconnect. Now, what I mean by this is that you have let go of or have been disconnected with your true desires. And this is a tough one, because I've asked women what they really, really want, and a lot of them don't even know. They know they feel bored and unloved and unhappy and stuff, but they want to get out of that feeling, but into what? That's what they don't know. Do they want to travel? Do they want more time with their girlfriends or family or alone? Do they desire more freedom, maybe deeper friendships? Do they want more creative time to paint, write, or start a business? What is it that you really, really want? And sadly, this disconnect really starts when we're young. Even as teenage girls, many of us start to please others and deny or pretend that we don't have our own desires. And why does this happen? Well, I've worked with thousands of women, and there seems to be 3 main patterns. And the first one is that we're so focused on making everyone else happy that we forget about ourselves. Or we may be afraid of being criticized, usually because we were criticized in the past and it hurts so much. So we just deny our desires and don't even go there. Or we're afraid that our desires won't be met because they've been ignored for so long. And if they're voiced and not met, it could be devastating. I remember in my own marriage, the only dream I had when I got married was to have kids. And once I had them, I really didn't know what else I wanted. When people ask you, what's your 5-year plan? Well, I really didn't even know. what we did in my marriage, what life we had was based on what my husband wanted, where he wanted to live, where he wanted to go on vacation, how he wanted to remodel the house. And it wasn't that he was pushy or demanding, it's just I had let go of any of my own desires. I had desire disconnect, and I never even knew what I wanted. So of course I never told them, and no wonder I felt unloved because I didn't share who I was or what I desired. So we're going to talk about how you heal this desire disconnect. Well, there's 5 steps. So I hope you're taking notes so you can get these down because they can be really impactful for you. And the first one is giving yourself permission. You've got to give yourself permission to really allow yourself to feel and receive your desires and know that they're there and it's okay for you to have them. Like I said earlier, there's often feelings of sadness or longing or hurt associated with these unmet or unacknowledged desires. So just give yourself a permission to take a deep breath here and allow yourselves to feel the feelings and connect in with your desires. And in a few minutes, I'm going to share with you an exercise that's going to help you to do this. So once you give yourself permission, then you need to open your pelvic connection. Now, what does that mean? Well, I find that our desires can best be found by connecting into your pelvis. And by that, I mean your whole pelvic bowl area. And if you think of your pelvis as a bowl, then you'll realize that this bowl houses your womb, your ovaries, the fallopian tubes. And actually, when you think about it, this area is a spiritual gateway. It supports the part of the woman's body that allows souls to be born into this world. And after 2 decades of hands-on healing work with women, I can tell you that this pelvis is your home. That womb that's held by the pelvis is the energetic foundation for manifesting in your life. It is such a magical place. Think about it. This womb takes 2 cells and it transforms it into a baby. Think about the transformative energy that's held in this womb space. Cultures all over the world for thousands of years talk about this womb as a spiritual and energetic powerhouse. In Chinese medicine, they recognize it as another heart in the woman's body. But in our Western modern culture, we just think of this womb place as a place to have babies and to bleed from each month. And we're really ashamed of our menstrual cycle. We deny, we repress, we don't know the power of this womb and the ovaries and this whole pelvic area. The womb is the hub of your pelvic space. No one's teaching you about this womb as this energetic powerhouse within you. And that's what I'd like to help awaken you to today. Because once we connect with our womb and our pelvic bowl, we connect in with our truth. It's our creative center, our spiritual gateway. Yet no one's teaching us about this. And when I work with women to connect them back into the space energetically, they can't compromise themselves anymore. Whatever isn't working, whatever lies they're telling themselves, they let go of. It's such a powerful place. So once you've connected in with the womb space in this pelvic bowl, the next step in healing your desire disconnect is to release the energetic blocks. Now, the body is made up of energy, and it's been said that form follows energy. And this is what I mean. Have you ever been in a situation where you are out in public, maybe you're at work or a funeral, and you're just holding back tears, like you want to cry, but you don't allow yourself to? And that's holding back energy. And then if you're trying not to cry and someone comes up and gives you a hug, or maybe just gently puts their hand on your leg or shoulder, and it just releases those floodgates, well, you couldn't hold back that energy any longer. It just starts to flow. And what they did by touching you was to release that blocked energy, the feelings behind the tears that you're trying to hold in. Over time, this type of holding back goes on. It can actually become blocked in our body in various places, even deep in the tissues themselves. And that's what I mean by blocked energy. It must be released. If you've ever had a a massage therapist work on you and she's massaging your body and all of a sudden you either start laughing or crying, that is an emotional release. That emotion was stuck in your tissues, and as she worked on it and released it, you were able to release it from your body. That's releasing that blocked energy that we carry in our body. And I'd like to explore this a little deeper because our pelvic bowl is a storage house for these blocked energies in our body. And these energies get stored in the pelvic bowl for several reasons, and unfortunately, none of them are good. Traumas, emotional or physical abuse, being told to be quiet, having your voice silenced, or anything that shames us or hurts us, all get stored in this pelvic space. No wonder we disconnect down there. And that's what we think about this space is down there. And we tend to ignore it unless something comes up. And sometimes it can be subtle too. It's all this emotion or this energy of the shoulds in our lives. Well, I should be a good wife. I should play this role. I should be a good daughter. I should impress the neighbors. I should help out at the school 24/7. For example, I had this woman who came in to see me and she was complaining of having zero desire to have intercourse or to initiate intercourse with her husband. She had really low libido. And as we reconnected to her pelvic bowl, I helped her realize that she had a lot of should energy in her life. And she felt that having sex with her husband was just another one of these shoulds that she should be doing. And once we were able to recognize that and to release that, it reawakened her desire to have sex, not because she should, but because she wanted to. And another way we trap energy in this pelvic bowl is by taking on other people's emotions. You've probably heard the expression, the woman is the heart of the home, or if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Well, there's some truth in this, in that women often take on the emotions of the entire family. Sometimes generations back, we're holding this emotion. If your mom wasn't happy and you felt that as a child, you took that energy on. Sometimes, though, it can even be more immediate, like you're visiting a sick friend or a troubled colleague, or you experience a situation where someone's hurt or scared, and you take on those feelings. I'd love to share a story with you about something that happened to me recently. I was driving home from, I was on the highway, I was driving home from a trip, and we came across this accident. We were one of the first people on the scene. And so I ran up to this truck had rolled and it was all crumpled up and upside down. And this woman's just hanging in there, stuck in this truck. And she was actually okay, very shaken up and didn't know where she was. But I came and I just comforted her. And I just kind of tried to keep her still and quiet until the ambulance came. And once they did, they were able to take her off to the hospital and she appeared to be okay. But when I got home that night, I was laying in bed trying to go to sleep and I couldn't. And I was just tossing and turning. I'm like, what? Why can't I fall asleep? I'm tired. And what happened was I really tuned into, because I'm aware of this holding on of energy, I tuned into the energy of my pelvis, and I could feel this young woman's fear and anxiety that I was carrying for her. It wasn't mine, but I was still affected by it just by being around it. And once I was able to clear that out, which I'll explain how to do that in just a minute, I felt so much better and I was able to go to sleep. But we women do this all the time. And most of the time we're not even aware of it. And so not only do we need to reconnect down there, we also need to release these trapped energy patterns. And then we can find our deepest desires. Do you see how there's a disconnect between not really knowing your desires because we have all this blocked energy and emotion and other people's ideas stuck in us? And when you clear that out, then you can tap into your desires. So then once we tap into these desires, and we know that we have this blocked energy in our pelvis, the next obvious question is, well, what do we do to release it? How do we do that? Well, first we need to explore them and take a look at our bowl and to see what's there. And I use the bowl a lot, and that just means the whole pelvic bowl area. And that's where these energies get trapped. So we're going to do an exercise here to help you to show you what I mean here. So I invite you to get comfortable in whatever position that you are in. Just make sure that you're nice and supported and relaxed. And then I just invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. And as you're breathing out, I just want you to bring your awareness down into your pelvic space. And we're going to access your intuition to try to help get information about what's going on in your pelvic bowl. There's a couple of ways that you can get information from your intuition. One is that you can actually visually see something, and that will show up as a picture in your mind's eye. The other way you can get information is by feeling into your body, feeling into your pelvis, and sensing what the energy or the feeling is inside your body. I'm not a visualizer. I sense and feel my energy in my body, and that's how I get information. Other people just kind of have this knowing sense, so that might pop in, or you might hear some words kind of pop into your mind, and just go with it. I invite you, so many times we get information, but we dismiss it. And so I just invite you to stay open, be curious, and just see what wants to present itself to you. And the other thing is that I want you to make sure that you don't allow the bones of your pelvis to define your pelvic bowl, because a lot of times our energetic bowl can either be smaller than our physical bones, or it can be larger. And really want to be open to whatever presents itself, and really tap into what is there and not what you hope is there or you think should be there. So really tap into what is actually present in this area. And so I just invite you to ask the question, what's going on in my pelvic bowl? What does my pelvic bowl look like? And if you're a visual person, you may see some colors. You may see the certain texture that bowl is made out of. You can see the actual shape. If you're a feeler, you may feel the actual shape of your pelvis. You may get a sense of how the pelvis is sitting in your body, or you may see it. Is the bowl tipped one direction or the other? Forward, backwards, left or right? It might be tipped. See the shape of the bowl. It might not always be round. See how deep the bowl is. Is it a shallow bowl, or is it a bowl that has really big walls to it? Are the walls thick or thin? And see if there's any dents or cracks in the bowl, and just kind of make a note of where those are. And then I just invite you to sense into, like, where do you get drawn in your bowl? If you were to ask your bowl, where do you want me to check out? Just see where you get drawn to a certain area. And then I want you to just sense the energy overall. Is there a difference in your energy from the left side to the right side? Front to back? Is the energy in your bowl, is it nice and calm and peaceful, or is it a little chaotic? Does the energy feel heavy or light or dark or light? Just see what information you get about your bowl. And what you're feeling into here is the energy center of your body. And there's actually a whole map to this area that helps you to understand it better, like what emotions, what energy types are typically located in what areas, and how that shows up in your life. But let's not get too complicated right now, because I'll tell you how to get a hold of that map at the end of the webinar. And let's just continue with another exercise to help you experience in a small way how to clear some of this energy. And that is by doing the pelvic sweeping exercise. And what we're going to do here is, you've already tapped into the energy of the bowl, like what the energy feels like. And so what I want you to do now is to imagine yourself a small little being standing on the top of your pubic bone in the front of the bowl. And we're going to walk around the rim of the bowl, and we're going to sweep down into the middle all that no longer serves you. And we're going to imagine that there's a drain at the bottom of your bowl, and that drain is just going to drain out right down between your legs down into the earth. And we're going to walk around and go ahead and start walking around clockwise and just sweep down into the middle all that no longer serves you. And if you get to an area that's a little stuck, just hang out there an extra moment or two and just let it know that you know it's there. Don't force anything. There's a reason it's stuck and it wants you to figure that out. So don't force anything, and you don't need to figure it out right now. Just make a mental note of where that is in your bowl. And just keep walking around and just notice where there's resistant areas and where it's nice and free and flowing. And this might take a little bit longer than I'm going to have time to allow on this webinar. So I encourage you can come back to this. But I just invite you to see, what does the energy of your bowl feel like right now? Is there a difference? Most women sense that it feels lighter in there. The energy feels more clear. Maybe there's more sense of calm in there. So just pay attention to what you notice as being different in there. And these two exercises that we just went through, the visualization and the sweeping, are just the starting point to really connecting in with your feminine powerhouse in this pelvic area. There's more exercises you can do, but I want to encourage you to do these sweeping exercises every day. I like to do it right before I go to bed at night so I can clear away the energies that I might have picked up on throughout the day. Also, another great time to do it is right after you've had maybe a confrontation with someone or just a negative interaction with someone. Just go ahead and clear that energy from your bowl so that you don't have to continue to hold on to it. But it will really help you to reconnect back to this area. So the next step to fixing this desire disconnect is to learn how to live from the bottom of your bowl. And by that, I mean, in order to do this, you got to have to make some fundamental changes in your energy patterns and remodel the energetic patterns and bring those new patterns down into your core, into the womb itself, and learn to live there, live deeply from the bottom. And it's a practice, it's something that you can learn. And what I find is that when so many women are living on the top of their bowl, that they're not fully anchored down in the bottom of their bowl. And I just invite you to sense into your pelvis and to see, are you staying up at the top around the rim, or are you able to get down into the bottom of your bowl? And if you're sitting on the top of your walls or the top of the walls of that bowl, and imagine those walls are like, your bowl is like a stadium. And if you're sitting on the top there on that roof, then, and you're trying to get someone's attention or you want someone to see you, it's not going to be that easy. And also think about the weather. And if you're sitting right up there and a strong wind comes along, it can push you right off. And you're super affected by what's going on outside of that stadium. Now imagine that you can come down and live in the center of that stadium, down in the center of the field there. And you want to get someone's attention? How much easier is that? All eyes are on you when you're in the bottom of your bowl. And you also have the protection of the walls around you, so you're no longer as influenced by the outside weather or energy, so to speak. And when you're down in the bottom of this bowl, that's where that calm, peaceful, centeredness comes from within you. So once you're connected and living from the bottom of your bowl and truly connected to this bowl, and you've released those negative energies, the juices just start to flow naturally. And when you live from this space and you claim your desires and you live in the pleasure of your desires, your man cannot help but join you. It's contagious. And once this happens and you learn how to draw that energy down, you'll know it by how you feel, because you'll feel more centered, more grounded. Your feet might feel heavier on the ground. There's a calm peacefulness inside of you. You become the eye of the storm, no matter what's going on around you. I had an interesting experience with this when I have two boys. They were probably 10 and 12 at the time that this event happened. They're 13 and 15 now. And the younger one made the older one mad, and he was going to rip his head off type of thing. And the younger one runs up to his room and shuts the door, and the older one's trying to break down the door to get to him. And I get up there and I just stand in front of the door, and my older son is just raging. And I just got down into the bottom of my bowl, was calm and peaceful and centered in my bowl, and I just helped him to calm down. And he knew I wasn't going to budge. And he eventually just calmed down and gave up and was able to take care of himself. And it diffused the situation. And, in the past, I think I would have gotten more riled up and more caught up in his energy and his emotion, and trying to calm him down by getting riled up doesn't work. And so it was really helpful for me to be able to know how to be down in that bowl, so I could be that calm, peaceful, centered place, so that my son could mirror that from me. And so I tell you, life is just so much more juicy when you're living from the bottom of your bowl. So let's give something a try here. We're going to do a pleasure practice. And in the programs I work with women, there's actually 8 different pleasure practices that we practice together. And the first one is this embodied eating. And I hope you have two pieces of chocolate or 2 pieces of something to eat that you really enjoy. And I invite you to just take a bite of the chocolate and eat it just like you normally would. Chew it up, swallow it, no big deal. And then with the second piece, I invite you to really smell it, smell your food, look at your food, and put it in your mouth, and allow your tongue and your mouth to enjoy it and explore it, and allow all the taste buds to take in what it is that you're eating. And I invite you not only to experience this just from your head, but take the pleasure of that taste and bring it all the way down into your bowl, and allow it to permeate your entire body. You could even allow the taste to come all the way down into your toes. And when you're eating from a place of really allowing the pleasure of the food to be embodied in your entire body, you don't need 20 pieces of chocolate to satisfy you. You only need a couple. You might only need one. But to really enjoy the pleasure of that. And actually, if you're with your partner and you start oohing and eyeing and moaning about, oh, this tastes so good, they're going to get intrigued. They're going to get turned on. So really allow yourself to experience the pleasure of the food throughout your entire body, and even express it and share it. Oh my gosh, this is so delicious. I love this. And just see what happens with your partner as you do that. So once you learn how to make this a norm of experiencing eating pleasurable food and really allowing your entire body to taste it, bringing it all the way down into the bowl, this will become a norm for you. Once you're able to really release these energetic patterns and remodel and take up residence deep in your pelvic bowl, it's going to become a norm. And when you're connected into this deep power center within you, your feminine core, your pelvic bowl, your womb space, and you enjoy your pleasures from down there, just watch what happens with your partner. I guarantee it'll make a change. because not only will you have the pleasure of experiencing that, but your partner will too. And men will be helplessly drawn towards you because they love a woman who is enjoying herself. And sometimes it can be hard for us women to stay in our pleasures, but the rewards are huge because men respond to women. If you are enjoying something pleasurable and you express that, they can't help but participate and get drawn towards you. And so, just like I said, this eating exercise is just one of the 8 different pleasure practices that I teach in my programs. And in doing these pleasure practices, it really helps you to maintain a state of fun and enjoyment and continual pleasure. And if you start to feel pleasure on a regular basis and you constantly figure out how to make it a part of your life, I assure you, you will no longer be bored in bed. And that leads us to the super important step to help heal this desired disconnect, and that is the big reveal. This is the last step, because to be met, your desires have to have the power of you behind them. You must lead the way. It's great if your partner supports you, but you must lead. You have to reveal your desires, because the responsibility for your pleasure is yours and yours alone. And part of taking responsibility for your pleasure and part of the big reveal step is to stop pretending to enjoy something when you really don't. Have you ever had your partner do something to you, maybe in bed while you're having sex, and it didn't feel good? Maybe he was rubbing your nipples too hard, and you just kind of didn't say anything? Well, I've worked with women who've not mentioned something as straightforward as, ow, that hurts, for years. They felt like they couldn't say anything because they didn't want to hurt his feelings. And as a result, they never felt their own pleasure. Can anyone relate to that? The good news here is that men just want to please us women. Their job, their role is to be a provider and supporter of women. Nothing makes them happier. Your man cannot help you make your dreams come true, and he can't connect with your desires if he doesn't know what they are. And he can't knock your socks off in bed unless you show him the way. He cannot read your mind. Men just want to please us women. And men are attracted to a woman standing in her own power and enjoying herself. I love this picture here because it's so true. When you are connected deep in your bowl and you are living from that center place, men are so attracted to you. They really get turned on by a fully pleasured woman who knows what she wants and asks for it. And the other good news is that it's much easier to talk about your desires because you've become more clear about what they are. And if you're living from the bottom of the bowl, you're more powerful too. There's no more holding back. You need to realize that your man is a work in progress, and he needs to be molded and guided by you. You must take the lead with your pleasure. Imagine how frustrating it is for him to not know what you truly want from him. And imagine how excited he would be if you would just share your wants and desires. Men just want to please us. And when we don't connect and share our desires, they're just guessing. And sometimes they really get frustrated with us. Men just want to know what we want. It's the biggest mystery to both sexes because neither of us really know. A man can't know unless a woman knows what she wants and she's willing to share it with them. And let me tell you another little secret about men. Men just want to feel like a hero, the guy on the white horse. So when you know what you want, you ask your partner for it and he does it, he feels like a hero. And better yet, if you give him some positive reinforcement with your praise and gratitude, he will do it over and over again. But if this seems awkward to you, I'd love to give you a little bit of what I call, honey, this is what I want script. And so you need to let them know what you like and why you like them. Oh, honey, look at those beautiful flowers or whatever it is. They really make me feel special looking at them. Or oh, I just love the smell of these, really turn me on when I smell it. You can start by sharing just what you love. And if he's still not getting it, be more direct. Honey, it would really make me feel special or loved or whatever you want to say, fill in the blank there, if you did this. And so here's another hint. When you're telling your husband what you want, words like safe, protected, and supported, I would really feel supported if you helped me take out the trash. Because those words, the safe, protected, supported, they trigger his internal wiring that makes him want to protect, serve, and support you. And so there you have the 5 steps for fixing the desire disconnect mistake. And that leads me to the number 2 massive mistake women make that keep them bored in bed and feeling unloved, and that is not owning your feminine. Let's face it, we live in a very masculine world. Men are paid more in almost every country of the world. It's usually around 70 cents on the dollar. Things men like are valued more. The jobs men gravitate towards are paid better. In sports, the men's events get more coverage, more pay, you name it. The world often dismisses women. And it's disheartening to see how women are devalued and their voices silenced. And so we see this happening and it hurts. So we shut off our feminine. We long to feel valued, and therefore we show up as men to get the value because we see the world values masculinity, not femininity. And women, especially in the business world, have turned off their feminine, thinking it's weak. So instead, she's striving and driving and forcing and works too hard and is tougher on her colleagues or employees than she needs to be. And she doesn't ask for help or admit she doesn't know. And while masculine energy might help serve you in your job and help you win a soccer game, it doesn't serve you to be in your masculine in a relationship. And that's because over time, since the feminine is the very essence of your passion, sensuality, and sexuality, when you don't own your feminine energy, your passion shuts down. No wonder you get bored in bed. And remember when I told you I'd tell you the number 1 passion killer that you may not know about, that if you could fix it, it could recharge your marriage? Well, this is it. The passion killer is not owning your feminine. And by extension, not allowing your man to own his masculine. So if you're always saying things like, oh, don't worry, I'll do that, or you're taking care of everything on your own, you're not voicing your desires, so he doesn't even know how to please you. If you're downplaying or dismissing what he does, try to do to support you or take care of you and the family, then you may inadvertently be emasculating your man by making him think you don't need him. Doing all of this makes men think, well, why does she even need me around? The number 1 passion killer is emasculating your man, because men are really, really simple. And we women, we overcomplicate things. They just want to protect, care for you, support you. In other words, feel more like a man. Let him be your hero. Let me tell you some stories here. I had a client that I worked with who was a really successful businesswoman. And while she definitely had a kind heart, she was living in her masculine energy, always driving and pushing and being independent. It was hard for her to be taken care of. And I can sense she just had a very little feminine energy running. And as much as she wanted a loving relationship, no matter how many dates she went on, she never got asked out on a second date. And even the guys that she did date, they didn't even appeal to her because they were a little wimpy, too wimpy. And so after a couple of months of working together, she attracted to her the man of her dreams. And he was so in his masculine, and he really challenged her to stand in her feminine. She had the time of her life with him. And as we worked together, I helped her to connect in with her own desires and to really own her feminine energy. And she saw how she was much more able to enjoy her pleasures, and she shared her desires with her. And the more she did that, the more he stepped up to support her in that. And guess what? Not only did this help her out in the bedroom, but it also helped her out with her business. She had a record month after working together, bringing in $75,000 in 1 month. There's a huge connection between your relationships and your success in the business world or in your career even. So as she really practiced owning her femininity, her boyfriend was able to own his masculinity, and they were both really, really happy. And you notice how I said practice there? Because there's an art to being a woman. It's owning your femininity. In fact, over the years, I've identified 8 different essences of the feminine that need to be cultivated in each of us. A male friend of mine tells the story of dating a woman who is a very powerful and successful in her business world. And when he went to take her out, she started opening up all of her own doors. And he said to her, I know you can open any door you want, but when you're with me, those doors are my doors. And he stepped into his masculine and allowed her to relax and receive. And after working and striving hard all day, how nice for her to just let him take care of things, to just relax. So part of owning your feminine energy is to let your man protect and serve you. Well, how do you do that? Let me give you some statements here that you can say to your man to help get greater support from him. So, you're so handsome to me when you do blank. And it's really important to connect the inner and the outer. So his handsomeness is the inner with an outer action. And I love the way you blank, smile, laugh, make me laugh, whatever it is. I love the way you cut the grass, whatever it might be. But let him know his actions are things that you number one recognize and how much they mean to you. And then I love this one. You can tease your guy by saying, you're such a man. They love that. So tease him. Let him know that you honor him as that man. And then getting him to do what you want him to do, it would really make me feel safe, loved, protected, supported to have you do blank for me. So use these statements and see what kind of response you get from your man. And if this is new and you haven't tried this before, give it some time, because your man's going to be like, what the heck is going on here? But just keep trying it, keep working it and seeing what happens. I guarantee it's going to shift things for you. So there's another way that not owning your feminine shows up in women, and that's when we deny our emotions. When you deny your emotions, you deny your desires, because emotions and femininity are so closely linked. To feel more is to be more feminine. And I want to get really personal here, because this is really close to my heart, because most of my life, I never felt lovable because I didn't know how to feel love. I grew up in a family where feelings were like an elephant in the room. They were feared, dangerous, and unacknowledged. And I took that withholding of emotion into my marriage. And not expressing or even feeling the emotions suppressed my desires, my passions, and ultimately the course of my love life. I had learned as a child that feelings were to be ignored, outright denied, and pushed away. And this kept me from owning the feminine, my own powerful womb energy. It kept me from feeling loved and being able to fully love in return. So how many of you can relate to that story? Most of our parents didn't even know how to handle emotions or help us with our emotions. We may have been told, oh, you're too sensitive, you cry too much. Oh, quit being so emotional. That's what we grew up with. So we stuffed, we deny, we repress. And yet what we need to understand instead is that emotions are just our friend. They're here to teach you something. And to truly embody your feminine, you need to be able to embrace your emotions, to feel them fully and allow their release. Emotions are like waves washing up onto the beach. The more you can feel them and embrace them fully as they come up onto shore, as they come up in your body, the more you can acknowledge them and embrace them, the more they can wash back out into the sea. But if you deny them, repress them, ignore them, they sink down into the sand, into your tissues, and become stuck, blocked energy in your body. They create that stagnant energy patterns that we have in our body. And energy is meant to flow in our body. I felt this so much in the thousands of women that I've worked with, that when we're able to finally fully release the energy, you can feel that release viscerally. The largest receptacle for our emotions in our body is, guess what? The pelvic bowl. The muscles at the bottom of the bowl are like a sponge. They soak it all up and they hold it in those pelvic floor muscles. All that emotion trapped in there. And I do internal work with women. I actually work with massaging those pelvic floor muscles, just using a gloved finger. And so many times I felt the muscles shake as they released the trauma that was being held in them. And by working on the body, and particularly through that womb space and the pelvic bowl, those feelings and emotions can be released. And sometimes that energy that's been trapped in there for years can finally let go. You have to work at releasing this at the level of the body, the inner tissues. That's where the energy is trapped. Emotions aren't trapped in our head. They're trapped in your body, in the tissues. And that's what my work, my programs are focused on. I help you work with releasing these trapped emotions in your body. And as that happens, then you're more fully able to own your feminine energy, to own those emotions. And as these emotions are released and they're embraced, you'll be able to feel more vulnerable with your partner. And vulnerability leads to intimacy. One of my clients came to me saying she had a pretty good marriage with her husband. Sex life was okay. She wouldn't complain about it. But during our session, it came up that she held a lot of feelings trapped in her pelvic bowl, feelings associated with past sexual abuse that she thought she had dealt with from the head. And yet, once she was able to release this energy from her pelvic floor, from her bowl, she was so surprised by how much more passion she was able to allow herself to feel. She was so much more emotionally intimate and happier with her husband, especially with intercourse. There's just so much more that we're here to experience. More love, more intimacy, more passion. It's just yours for the taking. We just need to do the work to clear out what's stopping us and holding us back from experiencing more. And so before we get into this last mistake, the number one mistake, I want to give you one more practice. And that is pleasure practice number 2, which is honoring your feelings. Like I said, so many women aren't even aware of what's coming up for them because they've been denying their feelings for so long. So several times throughout the day, I just invite you to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? And just honor that. Are you feeling happy? Great. Enjoy that. Are you feeling sad, frustrated, angry? Feel them. Honor them. Make it a practice to be more real and to actually feel and acknowledge what's going on for you. And so before we get to the next, the number one mistake, I'd love to invite you to join me on another page, actually, where I have, it's rebirthyourradiance.com/free session. I have a special opportunity for you. If anything I've said here is resonating with you, I'd love to offer you a chance to get together with me over the phone to see how I can best support you in bringing more passion, pleasure, and love into your life. So I invite you to open up a new screen or new web browser And we're going to join me on rebirthyourradiance.com/free session. And I just want to offer you, for those of you that are feeling unfulfilled in your relationships and you're desiring more, it's time for you to rock your bedroom and your relationships and awaken your feminine sensuality, sexuality, and pleasure. And this is for you if you dream of fully embracing your sexiness and femininity, having a burning passion and desire between you and your partner, confidently standing in your power, attracting others to you without repelling or appearing bitchy, really knowing your truth and not being afraid to speak it. Maybe you dream of just radiating a sensuality and sexuality that has people attracted to you in a fun, pleasure-filled way. And maybe you dream of not being afraid to be seen as sexy. And what would it be like to be feeling centered and grounded and peaceful no matter what's going on around you? But right now, you might be feeling stuck and frustrated with your current situation and relationship. You may have lost that spark you once had, or maybe you never ever really had it, but you'd like it to be there. And maybe you're tired of not being able to say no or what you really desire, or really know what you desire in your life and your relationship and your dreams. I get it because I see it all the time in the women that I work with. They're longing for greater connection and passion with their partners. They're longing for greater boundaries to say no when they mean it and be able to really know their own truths and their own desires. And they actually wish there was more time for pleasure and, more importantly, sex in their lives. Well, there can be. And I'd love to help you find out more by offering you a complimentary pleasure and passion discovery session. And together we're going to reveal what's holding you back from feeling more fulfilled and passionate in your relationship. I'm going to do a free energy reading with you. Remember that pelvic map I talked about earlier when we were doing that visualization? I can give you a sense of what's going on for you and tell you how you can get a hold of that map. And understand more of how your pelvis is showing you, how your pelvic bowl is showing you how you show up in your life. And we'll talk about what I recommend for you to be able to ignite more passion and pleasure in your life and relationships and embrace your femininity to allow and receive more of what you want. Because if in just a minute, we're going to go back to the number one mistake women are making, and it has to do with this aspect right there. We're also going to create a calm, peaceful center no matter what's going on around you and help you to realize what you need to do to know your truth and to speak it effortlessly. So our intention for our time together is to really help you clarify what's holding you back and identify specific steps to help you claim your power, your center, activate your passion and awaken greater pleasure in your life. And so I invite you to apply if you're 100% committed to growing yourself and creating a more loving, passionate relationship, and you're serious about doing what it takes now. I only have a couple of session slots available this week. So if you want a session, please scroll down to the bottom there, enter your first name, your email address, and your phone number, hit the apply now, and I will contact you within 1 to 3 days, and we will get this scheduled on my calendar so that we can set up that time to talk. So I would love to connect with you. If this is something that resonates with you, please go to rebirthyourradiance.com/free session. And right now we're going to jump back on and talk about the number one mistake women make that keep them bored in bed and feeling unloved. And that is not open to receiving. And I see this all the time. It's the biggest issue I see for women today. And I see it and feel it in all my clients, most of them. I would say 95% of my women have issues that I work with. And the flow of energy in your pelvic bowl is completely blocked on your left side. And what do I mean by this? Why the left side? Well, the left side of your bowl represents your feminine energy. It's your receiving and allowing ability. These are two of the core essences of your feminine energy. And if it's blocked, you're unable to receive. And if you're unable to receive, you won't feel the depth of love that is truly possible. Your passion and desires won't be revealed to you fully. And that's where the boredom comes in, the sadness, the yearning. A blocked pelvic bowl will prevent you from feeling more, having more, and just being more in your life. And remember earlier when I said the first step to healing is to give yourself permission to allow it? Well, if you're not open to receive, you will never give yourself permission in the first place. You may try some superficial type methods of maybe reading a self-help book or talk to a marriage counselor or confide in a good friend or maybe even listen to a helpful webinar. But you'll not take action towards truly healing unless you can open up these receiving channels. Even a little bit will get the process started. And here's why this is such an important mistake to overcome. It's because it comes down to a sense of your safety and security. Often this energy has been blocked for a really long time. And I've worked with clients, for example, who's had alcoholic parents, and they just shut down for fear of their mom or dad's reactions and behaviors. Sexual abuse can shut down this receiving channel. So can a lack of emotional safety. Or as I described in my childhood, just an ignoring or closing off of emotions in a family system can create a situation that the child just feels fundamentally unsafe and shuts down her ability to receive. So how do you know if you're limiting your receiving? Take a look at your reactions. How do you handle a compliment? When someone tries to do something nice for you or give you a gift, how do you respond? If you say or do anything other than thank you, you may be worrying about giving them something, a gift back, or if you say, oh, no big deal, I got it on sale. That's limiting your receiving ability. Look at how you feel at the end of the day. If you're tired and feeling overworked from taking care of everyone else, you're probably not open to receive. Look at your mindset. If you ever think, there's 3 different mindsets that I find women have when they're not open to receiving. The first one is that I'm not worthy to receive. Or the second one is I have to do it all by myself. I have to prove myself. So I can do it all. I don't need anyone's help. And the other limiting one is it's not safe. These are all limiting beliefs that keep you from receiving. And it means your left side, the energy on your pelvic bowl, is blocked. So I invite you to just take a second here and just feel into that left side of your bowl. And what do you notice? Do you notice a difference between the left and right sides? Does it feel tight and restricted, heavy, dark on that left side? If so, that's blocked energy. Now, if your energy is blocked and you're not open to receive your husband's love, support, and care, then negative relationship patterns like boredom, like feeling unloved and closing off become the norm for you. And then you're not even aware of it until it gets really bad. And if you're not able to fully let go when you're making love, it's likely because of blocked energy in the area of receiving. Another sign is that in any area of your life, maybe laughing, crying, having fun, you can't really let go and experience full abandon. Ask yourself the last time you had a really full belly laugh. Some women do experience pleasure with your husbands, but not too much. There's always a sense of control, of holding back, of clamping down on full joy, fun, and pleasure because it wouldn't be safe. And this is something I've seen over and over again. So many women struggle with not being able to receive, with being disconnected from their desires, with staying true to their feminine power in a masculine world. This struggle, this disconnect, it hurts them, and it's hurt me in my life. And I have a passion to help women to receive, to stop the struggle, and to learn how to receive all the love, the passion they desire, and create sizzling hot lives and marriages. And that's why I've created my programs and love the work that I do. It changes women's lives, and I'd love to help you do the same. So if anything I've said today resonates with you just a little bit and you'd like to explore it further, I invite you to sign up for a complimentary pleasure and passion discovery session. You can sign up with it here at rebirthyourradiance.com/free session. I'd be happy to take the time to see what your energy is telling you and to help you to see what you can do so you can experience more passion, more pleasure, and more joy in your life. We are meant to be living fully, freely, intently, wholly as women. And so many women are holding back. If you'd like to stop limiting yourself and open up to experiencing more in your life, please reach out. Love to have a conversation with you. So thank you so much for joining me today on this webinar. I hope you found some very helpful tips that you can implement right away. And know that I'm here. I'd love to have a conversation with you if anything I've said today's resonated with you. Just go over to that rebirthyourradiance.com/free session and sign up today, and I'll get in touch with you right away so we can get you on the path of experiencing more in your life. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.